This is the best M car of all time. It has a glorious naturally aspirated engine, beautiful handling, a manual transmission, wonderful styling from BMW's golden era, and it is not the M car that you think I'm going to say. It's this, the E46 generation BMW M3. That's right, blasphemy, not the E39 M5. And in today's video, I will be defending the thesis that I genuinely believe that this car is the best M car that BMW has ever made. I have been waiting to do a video on the E46 M3 on my channel for a really long time, and that's because I've been looking for one that has these three little letters associated with it, ZCP. That was the option code for the competition package, which was available on later generation E46 M3s. And this car really is the one you want. It's a coupe, it has a 6-speed manual transmission, the competition package, it's largely unmodified, just with a couple of things, and it has just 28,000 miles on its odometer. So this really is the cherry one that I want to do a video on. And of course, it's for sale right now on Cars and Bids, link in the description below. But this car really represents everything I love about the E46 M3. So with that, let's dive into my reasoning on why I think this car is the best M car ever. Point number one, the engine. Now, we have to have a little history lesson to understand why this is so important, but it has to do with core competencies. BMW is known for their straight six engines, like Porsche is for their flat six, Ferrari is for their V12, and Ford is for their V8s. But BMW wasn't always making engines for road cars. In fact, they actually started as an airplane engine manufacturer, which is where their logo comes from. It's the blue and white of the Bavarian flag, but it's designed to look like a propeller spinning, and that is where the logo comes from. In 1917, BMW produced their first straight six engine. It was the Type 3A, and it was a 19-liter straight six. Didn't produce that much power, such was the efficiency of the time, but it wouldn't be for another 16 years that BMW would wait until they would put a 6-cylinder engine in a road car with the 303. While BMW was making 6-cylinder engines pre and post World War I, after World War II is when BMW started to really explore with their engines, and there weren't just 6 cylinders. BMW put a V8 in the BMW 507, and in the Isetta they put a little 1-cylinder. It wasn't really until the late 1960s that BMW would develop a reputation for making great 6-cylinder engines, and that's all due to the M30. This engine was put in the E9 CSL and it went racing and it dominated. In addition to that, that engine was later developed into the straight six found in the M1 and the M1 Pro cars, but it was that engine that would later give birth to the BMW M road car division with the E28 M5 and the E24 M6. But it was during this period that BMW developed a reputation for 6-cylinder power, straight six power in particular, and they believed in it for a couple of reasons. 6-cylinder engines are perfectly balanced. There's no primary or secondary imbalance, so power delivery is nice and smooth and perfectly linear. As a result, BMW would continue to develop 6-cylinder engines, and they make great 6-cylinder engines today, like the B58. But of all the great 6-cylinder engines BMW has made, and they have made some great ones, the one that lies under this hood I feel is the best M engine ever put in any M car. And here it is, the 3.2-liter S54 straight six. Now, there are a couple of sub-points I want to make about why I think this engine is so great. And the first one goes back to what I was mentioning before. It's a straight six. Straight sixes are so balanced, and in a BMW M car, you kind of expect it to be relatively refined in the experience. And the S54 is a beautifully balanced engine. Vibrations don't make it into the cabin. It does everything a 6-cylinder should. It's fantastic. But the second reason I love this engine is how high it revs. This car has a redline of 8,000 RPM, which is bonkers, especially for an engine that was ultimately mass-produced. And that's how BMW M engines should be. Traditionally, they are naturally aspirated, high-revving engines that are focused on horsepower and a little bit less on torque. In this car's case, it makes 333 horsepower, which is plenty in a car of this size. But it comes mostly at the top. You really have to use this engine, and it is such a joy to use. That's part of why it's so great. It provides a great experience. In addition to how high it revs, though, another thing I adore about this engine is that it has ITBs, individual throttle bodies, meaning that for each of the cylinders, there's an individual throttle body that allows air into the combustion chamber. This allows you to have very precise control over the throttle, and it makes this engine razor sharp. Even today, 21 years later, this engine is just on point, and that largely comes down to its throttle bodies. Now let's talk a little bit about why I didn't pick other BMWs based on their engines. Again, it comes down to core competencies. BMW makes six-cylinder engines. That is what they are best at. And this, of all of them, I feel is the best because it suits the M-car nature of a high-reveling, naturally aspirated engine. The turbocharged engines which come in later M-cars are great. They're wonderful engines, they're very heavy on torque, which is awesome, but they just don't have the free revving, instantaneous nature that this engine has, and that is what an M-car is all about. I didn't pick an engine like the four-cylinder found in the E30 M3, the S14, because if I'm totally honest with you, the S14 is not a particularly exciting engine. Yes, it's very visceral, but it just doesn't have a whole lot of power. I think this engine strikes a much better balance. It gives you a lot of the power, is still really visceral and revs, to the moon. I think it's just a better balance of everything. It's at the right cross-section of everything. It's not too much in terms of being turbocharged or just making, honestly, too much power, but it's also not anemic. It's right in the middle, and it just offers a great M-car experience. Point number 2, and that is the size and shape of this particular car. Now, the E46 M3, in my view, is the right size. Its wheelbase is about 107 inches long, and compared to the M3s that came before it, it definitely feels a little bit bigger, but compared to the M3s that came after it, it feels way smaller. I think it strikes the right blend. To be honest with you, if you drive an E30 M3 on the road, it feels pretty small. You would not want to get into an accident in an E30 M3. The E46 though feels a little bit more modern, and while modern cars are much taller and heavier than the M3 is, I think its sizing is just about right. And in addition to that, look at it. When it comes to the way an M3 looks, this is the right blend of everything. This car introduced the power bulge into the hood, it added quad exhaust to the M3, the side gills, it added just enough jewelry to make the car look awesome, but compared to M3s of, today,
what the hell is even that?
Yeah, it's hard to argue that this car doesn't look great. It comes from BMW's golden era where basically every car they made looked fantastic, the right amount of restraint, the right amount of purposeful testosterone built into the design. So in addition to being the right size and great to place on the road, it also looks excellent while you're doing it. And that brings me to my third point about the E46 M3, and that is its perfect balance between digital and analog. Now admittedly, nobody buys an E46 M3 today for the technology that came with it, but these cars can exist in your modern life pretty well. This particular one has an aftermarket head unit in it, which adds some great capabilities. The factory one is included, it's in the trunk, but this car can be updated to have some modern amenities. For instance, if you add a Blue Bus to this car, you get Bluetooth connectivity, you can stream the music from your phone, and it doesn't involve cutting any wires or anything like that. This head unit installation is pretty nice and gives you access to the digital stuff you would want. You have the conveniences there. Granted, it's not a heads-up display and all of that stuff, but you do have the convenience of electronics to make it a car you can go out and actually enjoy. But in addition to that, of course, it has the analog stuff, and this car has it in spades. Of course, like I mentioned, this one has a 6-speed manual transmission. While in SMG, the sequential manual gearbox was available in the E46 M3, it was the second generation M3 to have it, started with the E36. This car was still offered with a 6-speed manual, and it is wonderful to use. Granted, BMW shifters aren't the greatest in the entire automotive world, but this one is lovely. But looking at other details of this car too, the gauges, some of the best gauges ever put in any BMW. They're just purposeful, very legible, you have all the information right there. And again, it harkens back to a former time. I love having actual gauges. And of course, buttons. If you're like me and you like having buttons to press on things, there are buttons everywhere in this car to do all the functions, which I really like. And even looking at the steering wheel, it is so simple. There's a singular button on it, and that is to turn on and off M mode. Now this dials back the traction control just a little bit to allow the car to slide more, as opposed to turning it off completely. It was specific for the ZCP cars. You could only get it on the competition cars. And again, it just puts the driver really firmly at the center of the experience. And that is what you're looking for from an M car. These days, we start to really get away from the driving experience, and it's all about screens that are just everywhere, and it's just not going to age as well. This car, while admittedly it's considered a classic now, this interior still feels purposeful and very usable today. So I really do believe that it sits perfectly at the intersection of digital and analog. Point number 4. Community. The E46 M3 is beloved by the BMW community for all of the reasons I've mentioned so far. But in addition to that, there is a lot of support for these cars. Admittedly, it's a BMW, so it's not trouble-free to own, but there are solutions for all of the known issues with these cars. In addition to that, there's support for whatever you want to do with your M3. If you want to just keep it on the road and keep it in stock condition, like I have with my E39, plenty of support for that. If you want to turn it into a track rat, plenty of support for that too. These cars are just great, and the people behind them are certainly great as well. But that brings me to my fifth and final point about why this car is the best M car, and that is the way that it drives. So let's hop behind the wheel and take it for a spin. Driving. Driving the E46 M3. Now, of course, it's no secret that I absolutely adore M cars of this generation. But there is a reason why I didn't pick the E39 M5 as the best. It is my favorite M car, but there's a big difference between favorite and best. The E46 M3 is a better driver's car. The E39 M5 is very good at being an M5, which is to say, on the highway, it's very fast, very capable. All M5s are like that, but they aren't exactly the best handling cars. They're heavy. It's just the nature of, they're more of a fast luxury car. The E46 M3 is built to be a driver's car. Now, it's not the lightest M3, but given its other attributes, its engine, its sizing, the blend between modern and analog tech, I just think that it is one of the best comprehensive packages ever offered from the M division. And it's no wonder. I believe they sold about 85,000 of these cars in period. Part of that is also for the world market, the engine was the same. Unlike the E36, where there was a Euro market and a US market, like we got screwed, frankly, on the engine of that car. Boy, we did not get screwed here. Oh, the chassis dynamics too are just so good. Man, this engine just, oh my God. I made a big deal about the engine, and I think that that's really important because it is so sharp in this car. Like, you just breathe on the throttle with the weight of your foot and off you go. And that wasn't even redline, that was 7,000 RPM. But it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and the whole time, like, no vibrations make it into the car. It is so smooth and, like, refined. And that's what I want from an M car. You know, other high revving engines of like other cars exist, like the engine found in the Honda S2000. And I would akin the S14 found in the E30 to that, more like that engine, just, you know, revs and revs and revs and small. But it just, the S14 just doesn't make any power. I used to make fun of the E30 M3. I said it was a lot of money to go slow. I stand by that. Like, I love E30 M3s, they're fun to drive. But I would have more fun, I think, in a 325 with a 6-cylinder than I would an E30 M3, especially given the delta in price there. And then the E9X platform I love too, but you know, the V8 and that, if I had to pick between the V8 and that and the V8 and E39, I'd choose the S62. If I have a V8, I want torque, and the S65 just, that's not what it delivers on. And the turbocharged cars are great. You know, I love the modern stuff. The M2 CS is awesome, but like the 1M is great as well. But those cars were trying to get back to what this car did. Be lightweight, small, tossable, dynamic. Like, this car nailed all of those right out of the box. And ever since then, I think when you really analyze M cars, you know, the E46 M3 just comes up as a benchmark of being the best. And I really think it is. Partially because of that engine, but also the chassis is just great. Wow, man, it revs so high. And this car being a ZCP car with the different steering rack, like, it's definitely tighter. It makes a big difference. Oh, this engine's so great. The chassis is just so playful. Oh man, yeah, you, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, very impressive. Quick story on the E46 M3. A friend of mine, Adrian, in South Africa, had a really nice one. His car was very well sorted, and we took it on a long 6-hour drive. And my friend Adrian is a really talented driver, and he showed me what this car can do, and it really impressed me. You know, a lot of you driving E46 M3 around town, you don't realize how capable this chassis is, But man, when it is pushed to the point where you're sliding around corners and stuff like that, not that you should do that on the public road, it was very, very, very impressive. So to conclude, is the E46 M3 my favorite M car? No. That spot belongs firmly to the E39 M5, and it probably always will, to be honest. But when I think about the attributes that really make up a perfect M car, the E46 nails all of them. Yes, these cars aren't inexpensive to take care of, but no BMW is. And it's not a perfect car, no BMW is, but this one, it just combines the right elements of what make a great M car and therefore a great driver's car. The M3 is always the benchmark whatever generation it is that comes out. It's the benchmark by which all other cars of that category have to be judged. And throughout history, the E46 M3 I think reigns supreme. One of the best in the world then, and I still think one of the best in the world now. And there you have it, the E46 M3. I truly believe that this car is the perfect balance of everything that makes an M car so great. And I do believe that it is the absolute best. And if you've been in the market for an E46 M3, well, you can give this one a new home on Cars and Bids. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon. Tschüss!